Welcome into the Jazz Notes podcast. Ben Anderson, David James, a Thursday edition. January 22nd, the Utah Jazz are coming off of a surprise victory over the Minnesota Timberwolves in what was probably the best game of the season. Certainly the most exciting game to watch. I thought they played fabulously well without Lauri Markkanen in their first one. Without Lauri, I don't know if it's the best game of Keontae's career, but the best scoring game. He's recorded a career high 43 points, and then, of course, we saw the triple-double from Jusuf Nurkic.
I pride myself on watching all 82 games. However, I cannot tell a lie because I'm running for president against George Washington. Okay. And he doesn't tell a lie. So it'll be a wash. Going back in time.
You're stealing his platform.
I am. I don't watch them all. And when they beat Detroit and San Antonio, I was out of town. So I do wonder how this compared to those two because, you know, on the other side of the country, looking at box scores, I was impressed.
Yeah.
You know, those are two. Arguably, those could be two of the top three teams in the league with Oklahoma City. If Oklahoma City wins the title and beats San Antonio in the Western Conference Final and Detroit in the NBA Finals, no one's shocked.
Right.
You might disagree, but you wouldn't be shocked. So I thought those were very good wins. But I think the second night of a back-to-back, down going into the fourth quarter, to come up big like that against a good team that had its best offensive player and had its best defensive player, and you beat them. Excellent.
Yeah, I don't think it's their best win. I just think it was the best game. It was just crazy to watch.
Okay.
It was just a really exciting game. I mean, that game
I was entertained.
Had as much entertainment in it as you're going to find in a basketball game.
How did it compare to those Detroit and San Antonio wins?
Those were surprising. Detroit is so boring to watch. They're just a boring basketball team.
Okay.
Because they're just like they're a classic Detroit team. A defensive,
They
grind it out.
They grind it out. Yeah.
Minnesota is like so exciting to watch. Minnesota has a bunch of fun players. Anthony Edwards might be the most watchable player in the NBA.
He got hot. He was in a groove there for a while.
And he's good. Yeah. And Keontae outdueled him. I mean, truthfully, in those games where you're going to win with a big offensive performance, Keontae was better than Anthony Edwards. And Ant's a much better defensive player, don't get me wrong. He's a better player overall, but Keontae can win you types of games like that now.
Yes, and that's a step forward. So as far as the improvement, I love where it's going. You can see it. You can't see it all the time, partly because of the lineups we play. We can get into that. I do wonder what the ceiling is. And, of course, any talk about this ceiling is like, well, you don't know what kind of moves Austin Ainge is going to make. So, you know, like they've got to be a much better defensive team if they want to go anywhere near a conference final. Yep. Now, presumably they would get Kessler back, although he has to be signed, and it's going to be intriguing. They can't spend money on all these young guys. They got to figure out who they're going to pay, who they're not, which guys can, like, they get to a zone where the guy may not love it, but he can live with it, right? And other guys who maybe – I'm out, you know?
Yep.
So you got to figure that out, and you got to, like Oklahoma City, you got to keep bringing in young guys.
Well, but before you pay Walker, he's got to be on the team. Yeah.
See?
2 weeks from today's the trade deadline. We don't know. We don't know who's going to be around. I would imagine Walker's still here, but
I would too.
I know there's been interest in Walker around the NBA. And if you're a lottery team who needs a starting center next year and doesn't want to hurt your lottery position, Walker makes a ton of sense.
If your name's not Cooper Flagg or I was going to say Luka Doncic, but even Luka's already been traded. So that's just a great example.
Right.
Great example of you've got to be awfully good to not be tradable.
So, and I don't think it's going to be a busy trade deadline for the Jazz, but we'll talk about that more over the next couple of weeks. And maybe you and I, even 2 weeks from today, will have a reaction pod as the trade deadline goes final.
Well, just real quick, it's what Austin said in the summer. He came on the morning show with PK and I, and we kind of pushed a little bit, got into it, and he finally said, hey, trades, you know, you'd like them to be about talent. He says, but now trades are mostly about contracts.
Yep.
There's too many teams up against the second apron. And until the cap grows and until some of the players who are widely overpaid, their contract ends and people get a little breathing room, this is the way it's going to be. So I don't know about a wild trade deadline for anybody, let alone the Jazz.
The name I have consistently thrown around for the Jazz in a trade is Anthony Simons from the Boston Celtics for Jusuf Nurkic. And it's just purely for contracts. I mean, Anthony Simons expires this year as well. The problem with Jusuf Nurkic is he can have a triple-double and win you a game over the Minnesota Timberwolves when you're trying to win 8 games the rest of the year and you win 14, and 14 is too many to hold on to your draft pick. So that really does matter. You know, you trade Nurkic to get a lottery pick. You trade him to hold on to your lottery pick, and then maybe because in this scenario you were to save Boston $30 million because of the savings they would get on their repeater tax, that's where there is value.
This is the place to dig deep into the minutia that maybe doesn't work on radio. But the people here are hardcore and way into it. And you're good at this kind of stuff.
I try to be.
No, you are. It doesn't mean you're perfect, but you're good at it.
Thank you.
So Nurkic.
I strive to be imperfect.
Don't we all? It's kind of fun.
It's so easy to do.
Nurkic can get the DNP CD, DNP coach's decision, without them getting fined, right?
You can probably rest him however you want. He's never made an All-Star game.
See, that's what I thought.
It doesn't even matter.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like they don't have to trade him.
No, they don't. And
they can just sit him.
look, they might like Nurk. I like Nurk. If I needed a backup center next year, and I was going to go,
that's what he was,
and I was going to make a push for the playoffs,
I thought
Nurk would be at the top of my list.
But maybe they want him next year. Now, with Kessler back, presumably he should be, and this is a whole nother debate, he should be 12, 15, 18-minute guy. But he's doing a pretty good job against starting centers in the NBA. How do you think he'll treat backups?
Right. And the Jazz like what he does for their team.
And good enough to start when Kessler needs a night off or illness, injury, wear and tear, whatever.
Well, and to go back, one of the major flaws with the Quinn Snyder teams that I just absolutely hated, I didn't understand why they did it, but they thought, how do we get Rudy Gobert on the floor for 48 minutes? Well, let's go sign a backup center that plays just like Rudy Gobert, and it was Hassan Whiteside or whatever. It was just like...
Or getting Derek Favors the second time.
No. Have a different gear. Do something else. Have a different look that you can put out there, because once they solve your one look, there's nothing you can do to fix it.
So you're saying if you're going to bring in 3 or 4 relievers at the end of a baseball game, maybe one of them should be left-handed.
Yeah, have a left-handed guy.
Maybe not 4 right-handed guys.
Yeah, not everyone should pitch the same way.
Right.
So yeah, if you have Walker, who is a rim-rolling, screen-and-roll big man, maybe if that's not effective in a playoff matchup or in Game 32, and you can go to Yusuf Nurkic, who's a very good player, for 18 minutes and just run high dribble handoffs and space the floor out just to get your shooters going or to get your guards going a little bit, maybe that's really valuable, and maybe that's way more valuable to you, especially if you're just going to sit him down the stretch and just say, hey, we love you. We're going to pay you in the offseason. We're just not going to play you right now.
I love my NBA history to the point I sometimes drive PK nuts. But to underline your point, we go back a decade when the Golden State Warriors were on the rise. They had Andrew Bogut on a championship team, and when they needed to go big and bang in the low post, they put him in.
Yep.
And then in back-to-back playoff series, when that wasn't how they needed to play, they took him off the court, and they went with whatever worked. And if that was Draymond at the 5 or somebody else, but not, 7'1", traditional 290-pound guy.
So to that point, I'm not giving Nurkic away. I want something back. I'm not just taking on money from the Boston Celtics to get rid of Nurkic to lose games, because I think you can lose games by just sitting him, like we talked about. If you could really get something for him, then maybe, draft picks, it's probably only a second rounder. Is that worth it? I don't know. But
they're going to try to be good next year.
But you're going to be trying to be good next year. Yeah.
Right?
You might just bring him and keep him around. He's a good player.
If he's
Nurkic
12,
is a good
15,
player.
18-minute guy, yes. And also, they're still going to be, this team's still young. And I realize the young guys are getting older and the young guys are getting better, and that helps. There's still going to be potholes. And there is clearly some type of relationship between multiple young players and Nurk. And that is not an automatic, man. You're bridging a cultural gap. You are bridging an age generational gap. It's not an automatic. And he's got it right.
He does.
So
Keontae
you might
loves
need
him.
him
Ace
to
Bailey
say to
loves him.
Keontae. You might need to say to Ace, right? Hey, guys, I've had this happen like 10 times in 10 years in the league. Here's what you do if you want to keep struggling. Here's what you want to do if you want to get it right. And every coach at every level and every sport keeps saying coach-guided, player-led. That, when it comes from coach, people want to hear from dad after a while.
Yeah. But if you do have Yusuf Nurkic pulling Walker aside and being like, you're doing dribble handoffs wrong. Your body positioning is wrong. Or you're not waiting for your guy to come grab the ball from you. Or I know you're trying to throw this little drop-off pass over the top when you're doing the dribble handoff. Like, you're doing it wrong. Let me show you how to do it. The Jazz tweeted out a video of his 10 assists, Nurkic's 10 assists from his triple-double. And I went back and looked at him. I thought, man, there are 5 of those Walker Kessler should be able to make today.
Agreed.
5 of them he should be able to make today.
Yeah.
If he can get those 5, he doesn't need to do 10. He doesn't need to be as good a passer as Nurkic. But if he could pick up 4 or 5 of those that far away from the rim, it would really be beneficial. But yeah, can Walker Kessler or can Will Hardy teach that? He can tell you how to do it, but can he actually teach it? Maybe that's where you have some extra value with Nurkic. But anyway, it's just kind of interesting. Some interesting things. I'm sure the Jazz are mulling about and discussing internally of, giving up and getting back or
the downside, the reason to move him is he is 31. If you could find someone who was as good and as relatively inexpensive, who is younger, I get that.
And backup centers are not that hard to find. The truth is, backup centers are a dime a dozen in the NBA. But now I'm really curious. And Nurk has been one of the most pleasant surprises for the Jazz so far this season. I didn't understand the Collin Sexton trade at all when it happened. And
I thought they gave him away.
And I think it's been a win-win. In all honesty, it's been a win-win.
I thought they were highly motivated to give him away because they looked at him and thought, oh boy, that's the kind of guy who can win you 30 games. But he's not going to win you a championship. But he is going to stand in the way of Keontae's development because literally...
Yeah.
Again, they're scorers in a shooting guard's body.
And then on top of it, Nurk makes Keontae better. It's not just that Keontae has actual more touches.
Right.
He gets
also
better touches.
Like if you've got Colin and you're also trying to play Keontae and you're trying to play Collier, and now you've drafted another guy and you want to play Clayton, it's like there's too many guys.
Yeah,
and one of them is absolutely going to wreck your draft position.
All right, Jazz sit at 15-29. They are a game back of the Charlotte Hornets in the NBA standings right now. The Jazz have the 6th worst record in the NBA. Charlotte has the 7th worst record in the NBA. We know 6 is kind of the magic number for the Utah Jazz. If you stay at 6, you've got a 96% chance of holding on to your draft pick.
Where are they at 5, though? Because I've heard 5's the target.
They are 2 away from 5, and that is with the Brooklyn Nets. Now, Brooklyn just lost by 50 to the struggling New York Knicks.
Hey, 3 straight quarters not getting to 20, and 1 quarter not getting to the teens?
Tough.
Wow.
The Sacramento Kings are 4-6 in their last 10, but they too have lost 3 straight. I'm curious what they do at the trade deadline. That might be the team that has to pass the Jazz if anybody passes the Jazz. Sacramento,
the others just aren't going to be good enough.
I just don't think Brooklyn's going to try. I think Brooklyn's going to trade.
The Pelicans don't.
Michael Porter Jr.
Pelicans don't have their pick. Could they be good enough to get there, or they're just not good enough?
How are they 5 wins worse than the Jazz at this point?
I agree. I keep thinking
they are 6 games back of the Jazz at the midway point.
I keep thinking that at some point, because they had a stretch earlier this year where they were terrible, right?
Mm-hmm.
Long losing streak. Then they won 5 in a row.
They won 5 in a row. They got half their wins in 2 weeks.
And I thought they are going to pass the Jazz. They aren't as bad. And then they went right back in the tank.
I'm sure the Jazz would love 5. I'm sure they would love that.
Because 5 takes them to 100%, doesn't it?
It takes them to like 98%, 99.4, I think, if I remember correctly off the top of my head. Shout out Tankathon. But, 6, you're comfortable. 5, you're almost no chance.
Yeah.
4, you actually do hold on to the pick, guaranteed, no problem. I think they'd love to get there. I don't know if it's possible unless they lose 34 of the last 38 games. And that's not going to happen.
I wouldn't think so. But I also don't know. They control that.
They do have some control. They have a
bunch of guys who aren't all-stars, so they can decide to sit. And I don't know if you heard this on the show, but I was joking. There's a Will Hardy bite that got me going on this. And I'm like, well, who do they sit? Does he go in at some point and say, guys, each and every one of you, the goal for you is to be so good, so effective, which for some people means scoring, but for other people means doing your job. So effective that Austin calls me and says, you have got to sit that guy. Yeah, right. We can't win this game.
This is how you know you've made it.
That's how it's like. Yeah. You want to know you're getting a positive impression from the front office? That's it.
So this leads me to the question. Jazz have 38 games left in the season. Can you have a successful 38 games if you only win 8 of them and you lose 30?
Tell me who you sit.
Okay.
That's everything. Tell me who you sit. If they play the whole team, which we know they aren't going to do, but if they play Markkanen and Nurkic and Keontae and everybody else, what's the number you want them to do?
The number I think they have to feel comfortable is probably no more than 10 wins with 38 left, but I think 8 wins would probably be a number they're very comfortable with.
Okay, so obviously they should win 8 if they play their guys. Easily, now, the only way to get to 8 and 30, now tell me how many guys you're willing to sit. Now, you got to be careful with Markkanen. He's an all-star. There's certain situations.
You can sit him every game at home if you want to, but you just can't sit him on the road.
Okay, so we may never see Markkanen in the Dell Center this year. Seriously, because he's playing really well.
Yeah.
Right? Keontae, maybe at that point. And obviously, when they make the team smaller, Nurkic is like what's the game? Jenga, right? Where you stack the blocks.
Yeah.
Like Nurkic, when Kessler's hurt and Markkanen's out, if you pull Nurkic out, there's
the tower falls.
The tower falls.
Yeah.
The tower's gonna fall. But maybe they need to start sitting Keontae. Maybe they need to start sitting Flip. And it's like, we are absolutely going to be small all the time, no matter what. Flip made a huge play in that win. That offensive rebound that he got late in the game for Keontae's last basket. Keontae hits a corner 3 on TV. It was in front of the Jazz bench off to the left on the near side.
Across from the Jazz bench.
Across from the Jazz bench. At that end of the floor, but opposite sideline. You're right. And Flip, that was not an easy rebound. There are easy rebounds where the only big and it comes right to you. It
Ball
just
bounces.
It fell to you, and you're tall and you're standing there. But he had to compete for that rebound. And before he was off balance when he got the ball. He had to hustle to beat the guy to the ball. And off balance, he not only passed it to the right guy, he hit him in rhythm.
Yeah.
Maybe there's too much luck there, but stop making winning plays over there, would you, Flip? Well, you can't tell a player that, so you got to sit him.
Yeah, I do think the easiest pathway to only winning 8 games is to
sit Keontae or Flip.
Keontae, certainly, but really not have either Nurkic or Markkanen on the floor. Because you're right. Rebounds win games. I mean, it's a possession. It's just a more possessions. It's a math equation. Yeah, you get more, but you get more opportunities.
Also, we already see it. When Nurkic and Markkanen are out, I think the game plan against the Jazz most of the time is straight line drives. These guys struggle with it. Like all the complex stuff that we put in, tonight, forget it.
Yeah.
Tonight you're on the playground, get to the rim. But when it's Markkanen and it's Nurkic, it's like I don't know if anyone in the arena can miss it. There's nothing subtle about it. It seems like that's 5 possessions in a row they've attacked the rim. That's 6 in a row. That's 7 in a row. That's 8 in a row. I mean, it's just relentless.
So 38 games left. How are you successful on the court, not off the court? Yeah, 8-30, great. You hold on to your draft pick. That's successful. That's probably what matters more than anything. But you also don't want to just burn half of a season down with no value coming out of it. You want to get something out of it. So what?
I hear a lot of Jazz fans, well, they burned down the last 4 years, Ben.
Sure. But they will say, well, I don't know, look at what Keontae's doing. Or I don't know, we think Lowry's a better player now because we gave him some opportunities. Can you salvage something on the court that's valuable for next season if your goal is to lose 30 of 38?
I think it's really clear to me that Will Hardy and his staff, because we got these huge staffs now in the NBA, are really good at young player development. They've developed multiple players. You can see it. You don't have to watch very closely. You don't have to know a lot. Even if you don't see a game, you can look at the box score. And the box score does lie sometimes. It doesn't tell you everything.
Correct.
But nonetheless, like the Minnesota game, I thought Ace was really good.
Ace was really good.
I did. You thought the same. He was really good.
Yep.
But I thought Isaiah Collier was really good.
Yep.
And I think people are really split on Isaiah Collier. I talked to people who are like, defensively, that guy's a mess, and he doesn't shoot the ball very well. And I'm like, he also gets into the paint literally anytime he decides to against anybody. They played him as a starter. They played him as a backup. It doesn't seem to matter. Other teams put bigger guys on him at times. Right into the paint. He makes the other 4 guys on the team better at the offensive end. There's got to be a role for him. Now, how big a role depends on how good he gets at everything else. So if Collier can keep developing, if Clayton can develop, if they can bring these other guys along, Ace has got to keep developing.
Yeah.
That was Ace's first 20-point game in a long time.
In a while, yeah. He's had 4 this season, but it had been a while.
They're on the rearview mirror a little bit. And so it's like, Ace, not only should your ceiling be higher, but your floor needs to be lower. You know, in your off night, let's get to the point where your off night's 15.
Yeah.
And the night you score is 25. Now, to a certain point, like most young guys, he does this wisely. He should. And either he figured it out or someone told him or he did it right and reinforced him. Like, at times he defers.
Yeah.
At times he defers to the veteran guys and the older guys, and he's a rookie, so I totally get it. But maybe by sitting more of these guys, including Keontae, who's a guy where he's, okay, he goes 43, get the ball to the hot guy, I get it. But it's kind of like, Ace, you take over games. And let's see what it's like when you're at the top of the scouting report, because that's harder. You know, the best thing about Keontae's 43 is he did it in a game Markkanen wasn't there, and he stayed efficient, right? Because you can get there by an inefficient, and you can get there when the defense is busy guarding somebody else, and you're the second or third option, and you don't get doubled.
But he didn't need 35 shots to get there.
No, he didn't. Yeah, right, exactly. So that, to me, was impressive. And so, let's give Ace a chance to see that scenario, and that means sitting Keontae. And now everyone might be looking at you, and we're going to run a lot of stuff for you. And it's fatiguing. Like, it's mentally draining. Like, I don't get to go stand on the opposite side, and if they rotate away from me, they throw me the ball and I get a shot, you know?
I do think that's going to be a priority. Ace having a few nights where he takes 15 shots, and by a few, I mean, honestly, it might be 15 of the net final 38.
If you would have said on draft day, how optimistic can you be about him in January? I'm telling you right now, this is the most optimistic I could be. I didn't think there was going to be more. I didn't expect more. I thought there were scenarios where there would be less. I think it's going really well. I know it hasn't gone perfect. It's never going to go perfect. I think it's going really well.
His everything is better than I thought.
Yeah.
Maybe not the scoring, because I knew he could just, obviously he could light it up at Rutgers. That's how he got drafted.
Yeah, but do you think he's a more efficient scorer right now than you expected?
Oh, yeah. I mean, he's shooting 35% from 3, I think.
Yeah.
You know, maybe it's not that high because he's been in a little bit of a lull, but I mean, there were some people who thought he was going to shoot in the 20s. You know, he's not even close to that right now.
Yeah.
And his passing is way better than I expected. And defensively, Will Hardy continues to praise him for how well he competes on that end of the floor.
But there was this thought that he went to Rutgers and that it was just he and Harper, and they get their shots, they put up their points, and who cares about winning and losing?
Yeah.
And maybe he's not the greatest teammate. Maybe
Absolutely.
he's a little on the selfish
Absolutely.
side, you know, and all these things. And then the way his agent tried to position him in the draft Just double down on that storyline. Just double down.
100%.
That doesn't seem to be him at all. It
Not
was a situation. We had a Rutgers guy on the morning show, and he said that they're awesome. And he said it is startling the talent gap between them and the rest of the team.
Yeah.
He says they shouldn't be passing the ball. Those guys aren't going to do anything against the Big Ten when they get it.
Not D1 players. Truthfully, it was Dylan Harper and Ace Bailey and a bunch of non-D1 players.
He just said it was a massive talent gap. He says if you think they're forcing it up, that's because that's the best thing for the team.
So for Ace to be having done what he's done so far, I'm sure some Jazz fans are wondering, like, why is he not scoring 20 every game? That's who he was. I do truly think this is better for him. I think what you have seen from him this rookie season, which is I know I can get 20. I've seen 20. Learn how to do everything a little bit better. Learn how to rebound. Learn how to pass. Learn how to play defense. Learn how to be a teammate.
Tell me he shouldn't be 25-5 guy.
Yeah.
On the way to whatever he becomes,
absolutely. Yeah,
but
absolutely.
he can top that.
Yeah, no question about it.
Right. But he's not 5 rebounds and 5 assists every game until recently. I think he's got like a 4-game stretch here where he's been rebounding really well.
And I think the Jazz recognize like that's going to come. While we have him under control, because he's just going to take over. He's just going to become so talented as a scorer. Until then, let's see how much we can put on him elsewhere.
How are they going to pay all these guys?
Yeah, that'll be a question. I mean,
can they pay Larkinen?
Markkanen, yeah.
Larkinen. Can they pay Markkanen and then Kessler? And obviously, there's a little thing in the Kessler negotiations because it could have done it last year. There's a timing argument that it would be better to do it this year, but whatever. But I think there's definitely a gap that still needs to be closed. I am really sure there's a gap that still needs to be closed there. And then Keontae's going to need to be paid in a couple years. And then Bailey's going to need to be paid. Now, Ace is just a rookie, so that's 4 years off.
Yeah, and let's see. Maybe he doesn't become a max player. I think the expectation is he will be.
And even if he's not a max player, are they going to have like one max player and 3 guys who aren't and no money for everybody else? How's that going to work?
Yeah.
The thing is that while everyone else here is new, they watched him from a distance and they knew exactly what happened because everybody's paying really close attention to everybody else's salary cap situation.
Yeah.
So Austin Ainge and Danny Ainge, even though they weren't here, they know what the Jazz did. And Ryan was here and lived it. And they were all fully aware, like, those guys were good players and they were popular and they got paid a lot of money, but they ran out of money and they still didn't have enough talent to get to the elite level.
Yeah.
So they're going to be really careful. It's great to get a great player who's real popular, but if there's a hole in his game one way or another, and he gets paid 130% of what he should get, you're going to paint yourself into a corner like that.
Mike Conley, great player, made an All-Star game.
Rudy Gobert
Mike Conley ended up being the wrong fit for the Jazz.
Yeah.
They needed somebody bigger than Donovan Mitchell, not smaller, and them being so small in the backcourt really ended up hurting them.
But should Rudy have been over $40 million? Or would they have been better served to pay him 25 or 30 because they needed money to pay an elite scorer who had some size, and those guys aren't cheap? Rudy was too limited at one end of the court to give him that big a percentage of the salary cap.
You just can't overpay more than one guy, probably, is the truth. And that was the thing. You might have been able to overpay Rudy or overpay Mike,
but not both.
No, you can't overpay both. Because then, you don't have the ability to go out and get anybody other than Ed Davis or
So now here comes Walker, who they're different players, but big picture, they're both really good at the defensive end. They're both limited at the offensive end. Careful about overpaying him. And I think Danny Ainge knew it. I think Austin Ainge knows it. And I think Ryan knows it.
I have been saying I think the Jazz are going to invest in this team in the offseason and try and go out and get some veterans and start building out. I will be curious if they do the thing, which I is clearly done for a reason. It's not laziness. It is actually front offices being prudent in how they do their jobs. They could absolutely say, our free agent addition this summer is Walker Kessler. That's our addition to the roster. We didn't have him all of last year. We like the development that we saw. We're going to run it back, but Walker's going to be fully healthy. It's going to be year 2 of Ace, but Walker coming in makes us really good.
So let's say they do that. They pay Walker, and he's here. And they keep Nurkic, okay? And they have the same group, and they run it back, and there's always somebody who changes, but it won't be major, okay? And now they're going to play Markkanen in 82. If he can play 82. He's never done it. Even if he could play 70 or 75. But they're done sitting him. Now, I don't think he's missed games because of injury. I think he's missed games because they wanted to lose.
Yep.
However, at the same time, that's not the same as having a wear and tear of a big body hold up for 70, 75, 80 games. Can he do it? Maybe he can, maybe he can't. Time will tell. But let's assume he does. Is that a 40-win team? Is it a 45-win team in your mind? More, less?
So let's say here's your starting lineup.
Kessler,
Markkanen, Ace,
Keontae,
whoever is at the 2. And that's not to dismiss anybody, but we don't know. I mean, Ace might be at the 2, Cody might be at the 3, or whatever.
Right. But there's 4 starters, and you'll figure out another perimeter player and slide guys around.
Could be Svi, it could be whatever. Svi, I'm going to count in this rotation.
Okay.
Let's say it's Nurkic. It does start to get interesting because I don't know if any of the other young guys have a stranglehold on that spot.
But Collier's in the rotation.
Collier's in the rotation.
Let's just
flip.
Basically, a running back this year, bring in Kessler and
Yeah.
Nurk back, so you have another big body.
The other name I'd be curious about, honestly, I don't know, and they might trade him, is George Niang. George would be a great fit on this team next year, right? You just bring back even more shooting, and we're ignoring Bryce Sensabaugh, who's also been in this conversation. Neither do I.
Unless I see him at the end of the bench applauding in some kind of way.
But and he's not under contract. He's an expiring this year, so who knows what they're going to do with George.
So what do you think? 40? 45?
I think that team can win 40. That team trying every night can get you to 40. The danger in trying every night is people start trying against you. When you go out there and you start the season 12-8 and you're catching attention and people are saying Keontae's a lock all-star this year and Lowry's an all-star this year, then everyone starts bringing it when they play you. And right now the Jazz are still playing teams who are not bringing it every night.
If Markkanen and George are both all-stars, if you have 2 all-stars, you're supposed to be top 4 or 5 in the West. Mm-hmm. You're not supposed to be 2 all-stars and be 6th, 7th, 8th in the West, let alone on the outside looking in.
I agree. But that's that. The hard part about what the Jazz could do there in that situation is they could be 12-8 to start the year next year and still have the 28th ranked defense. And then you're not really competing for much.
They're going to hit a ceiling. If their defense stays at 28, even as guys get older and get more experience, and they had a shot blocker in Kessler, Walker Kessler. I'm doing this. Larkinen and Wessler.
I like it.
The law firm of Larkinen and Wessler for all your needs.
Could be a mortuary.
Nice. Well, I mean, if they don't defend any better with those guys, then the 45 wins goes to the graveyard. And stay with your mortuary theme there.
Yeah, right.
Because there's going to be a limit. Because you're right. The better you get, the more people bring it. There'll be fewer teams resting their guys against you. They're resting guys against the Jazz right now because they know they could probably do it and get away with it.
Yep. So those are all things that will be sorted out over this final stretch. Who, outside of Ace, so we talked about Ace getting a lot of run, which of these young players is going to prove they belong in the conversation next year? I think that's what these final 38 games might be as well. Because I do think they're going to go out and sign some free agents, and maybe not big money guys, but a couple of guys here and there just to make the system actually run, improve the defense, so there's some semblance of what it should look like on that end of the floor.
Well, they need more guys like Nurkic. Guys who are pros, veterans, have been through it. They're not great players, but they're B minus players, and they can help you in spots.
Yeah.
I think everyone's a little surprised that Nurkic has carried this big of a load and been this good.
Fully.
He was expected to come in and be decent for 12 to 15 minutes a night.
Yeah, and just not be a problem. And if he was, it didn't matter. You would tell him to go away. Yeah. And he's not only not been a problem, he's been somewhat beloved in the locker room. It seems like all the players like him. He's funny. Yeah. He really loves Will Harding. He talks a lot about how much he likes Will Harding. That's been just a much better addition for the Jazz than they thought. So, anyways. All right. 38 games left for the Utah Jazz. We'll be back on Monday.
You think they have to go 8-30?
I think they'd like to go 8-30. I think they're probably more likely to go 10-28.
Okay.
Which is still hard. That's a major fall off from where they are right now. Right now they're winning about 1 every 3 games.
Yeah.
They're 15
win
and 29.
1, lose 2, and 3.
They have to win 1 and lose 3. That I know that doesn't sound like a lot. It's kind of a dramatic drop.
So just this homestand alone, you think there could be trouble? Because they're obviously much better at home than they are on the road. The home road splits are clear.
You probably had room comfortably to win one of these home games, and you wasted it on Minnesota.
Keanu's got a set then.
And now you've got Miami on Saturday, and you've got Brooklyn after that. You're going to beat Brooklyn. Brooklyn, again, just lost by 50 to the Knicks.
You gut that team. Oh, they can't stay down. Brooklyn didn't even understand garbage time. The game is over in the fourth quarter. You only scored 10 points. Guys, you're supposed to get some buckets.
Yeah, this is your turn.
This is your turn. They didn't even get garbage time right.
So, it's worth watching.
I wonder how weak that lineup will be against the Nets.
Or maybe they just come out and cream them and then say that was it. That was the end of your run.
That was the one.
When you lose 3 in the middle,
but we're sitting you for everybody else.
They did not think they were going to beat Minnesota, is my guess.
I
certainly don't think that was the expectation.
I agree. Yeah. Yeah, I think there's, everyone's playing nice on the outside, but on the inside, I think there's more tension and angst over that than you would think.
All right, catch DJ with Patrick Canahan, DJ and PK, 6 to 10, right before my show.
10 to noon. Yeah, Jake and Ben.
Jazz Notes will be back on Monday.
We should tell people, Jazz Ticket Tuesdays, if they're not locked into this, we're giving away tickets every Tuesday, every hour on the half hour.
Yeah.
If you want free tickets to a game, make sure you're here on Tuesday.
Listen to the Zone.
Have the phone, have the number programmed in. Be ready to go.
Do you know the number off the top of your head?
Nope.
So you got to listen.
Exactly. I give it then. That's 855 Summit ends in zone.
575 zone.
Right? Oh, is that what it is? Did we just get it? Maybe we did. Listen on Tuesdays. We'll give the phone number.
We'll be back with you on Monday. David James, Ben Anderson. Read us at KSLSports.com. You can find this on YouTube. Telling you at the end doesn't make any sense, but that's where you can watch it. And we'll be back with you next week.